The biggest story of the week is the ratings, which have just come out. Disney has released their own internal numbers, so it's Trust Me, Bro. And Samba TV came out with their top 10 today. There's something missing.
Let's just be real here for a second. The fact that Rings of Power is 8th on this list is kind of a bigger story than Agatha not being on there. Tulsa King is ahead of Rings of Power.
A Paramount Plus show.
Yeah, Paramount Plus is like fucking no subscribers compared to some of these other things.
Yep.
Prime Video, they've never released an exact number, but they have said at one point in time over 200 million Prime Video customers tune in monthly. So you can assume that the sub count on that they're counting is at least 200 million plus, which is below only Netflix in terms of size of the platform, amount of subscribers. And for your premiere thing in Rings of Power, the most expensive television series in history, to be there, that is a sad state.
To give you some context, I'm guessing on this, but I don't think I'm wrong. The Rings of Power cost as much as all of those shows combined on this list.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Season 1 was $1 billion. How much do you think season 2 is?
Well, they have played those numbers down, believe.
They've tried very hard to play those numbers down because it was used against them. I would too.
Yes.
I don't think it was $1 billion for season 1. The original estimates were $1 billion for the first 2 seasons were the estimates that were thrown out there.
They were combining it.
Now that we've seen a little bit, it sounds like the first season, when you combine the $250 million in rights that they spent on the entire thing, and the first season, that was like $700 million combined. And now this season sounds like it's around $450 million. That's the budget for the second season. So you're talking about well over $1 billion spent for 2 seasons of something. That's insane.
That's
especially with the quality of the product that we're getting back.
That's getting beat or barely beat by Mormon housewives. That's getting beat by
Chad just got hard.
That is the big story in this. But Agatha not showing up is not a surprise at all. Like, at all. Disney took 7 fucking days to come out with their, $9.4 million worldwide, by the way. That's why you don't want to run out trying to own the chuds without doing reading past the fucking headline. And maybe some of us have been doing this for a little while and we can parse out like what's worldwide, what's US only. By the way, this is an internal Disney number that comes from Disney. So are we going to believe them? What do they count as a view? What's their metric? Nobody knows.
So that's over the course of 1 week. They're counting all those views for a Disney Plus show where they have 158 million subscribers. But if we go back in time to when Jackass first premiered on an obscure day at an obscure time, they had 2 million viewers for that one day when everybody had to tune in at the same time.
Exactly.
But they can't even beat out Jackass back in the day on cable TV when not every house had a TV.
You remember when we actually had TV ratings and the CW shows would come out and you'd see Batwoman and it's like 300,000 people watched it.
They were devoted, though, that 300,000.
They were a devoted 300,000.
They were devoted 300,000.
That's probably how many people watched The Acolyte. I mean, in reality.
They're shooting for the same audience, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Can you pull up that article again? Is that the Deadline or the Variety one? Which is
This is Variety.
All right, can you scroll down a little bit? I just want to show, like, you do have to, if you're going to talk about this stuff, you do have to be able to, like, parse through some of this stuff and understand what the context is and not be an absolute fucking retard, especially when the media is going to try to mislead you. The opening of Agatha all along appears to be roughly on par with that of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Oh, really? What do you think roughly on par means? Which December 2023 debuted with 13.3 million views in 6 days. So you think that roughly on par means that you get an additional day of ratings and it's still 40% less? That's what you would equate as roughly on par? How fucking stupid can you be?
I do also wonder if that is specifically comparing it from international to international or international to domestic. Like,
no, those are all global. All the global are all global numbers.
The next line is Acolyte started with 11.1 million and it got canceled.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Highlight that part.
So because it turns out your views don't matter. What matters is if you're profitable or not. And so it doesn't matter like where you rank the show versus other shows. If you're not profitable, you're going to get cancelled. And besides, with all of this stuff, I don't really care if 100 million people watched it. It's still a terrible show.
Still sucks.
So
Exactly.
What are you really arguing? Do you like the show? Is that what you're arguing? Because if you're going to argue over numbers as like some kind of own,
Captain Marvel sucked. It was $1 billion movie. It still sucked.
Yeah.
And it made a lot of fucking money. It turned a profit, and it caused a lot of shit for Disney because they got, well, this is the way the wind's blowing now. And it turns out it wasn't.
look at the knock-on effects to the Marvels, because the ratings for one thing don't really matter because that's the initial impact. People watch it, they give it a try. What really matters are the ratings for the later episodes when people know what they're getting and whether they've decided whether they're going to continue.
That's where the numbers are actually really important, because Captain Marvel was boosted by the fact that it was set in between the two biggest and most important comic book movies that we'd ever seen in our lives, right? Infinity War and Endgame.
It's like the Empire and Jedi for that generation.
Yeah, like the little cliffhanger for Infinity War was teasing Captain Marvel.
Yes.
And they made people buy in the idea that this was going to be super fucking important. You had to watch this to understand what was going to happen in Endgame. And that was kind of a bait and switch. That wasn't
the month before
the case. But that's one of the reasons it made $1 billion. And then we see what happens with the sequel, which is the Marvels, the biggest flop in the history of the MCU.
Yep. So there is an internal formula for Disney. I have no idea what it is, but and nobody does. It's proprietary. It's something they'll never share, but there's an internal formula that keeps shows around and causes them to be canceled. Obviously, Willow did not make
the tax write-off.
Made it as tax write-off. Acolyte was canceled. There's other shows that did.
It's all my favorite shows.
But I know. Well, and then She-Hulk, according to the formula, She-Hulk did good, but not good enough to be renewed. So most of the shows they don't even say anything about. So yeah, trying to own people with the Agatha ratings when they were lower than the Acolyte is kind of funny. I was watching my Twitter feed to go, what about this chud boy? And I'm like, you fucking retard.
Yeah, the reason these numbers are interesting is because it does give you an idea of where things are at.
Yep.
For instance, Loki season 2 premiere in 3 days got something like 10.3 or 11 million views. That's in 3 days for Loki season 2 globally.
People actually like Loki.
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston's good. So I mean that's
the most
makes
successful MCU show. So that gives you an interesting gauge of what they consider to be successful. Now, a lot depends on what the budget of Agatha is, which I haven't heard anything about. We know that some of these Marvel series, like Secret Invasion, like She-Hulk, cost upwards of $200 million in similar territory to like the Acolyte, $230 million.
She-Hulk costed that much? You'd never tell. None of this stuff has any staying power. I always gauge things based off of, can the fan art keep the discussion going? Not one single thing produced in America in the last 10 years has had any form of staying power whatsoever.
Like once you get into this long enough, you can tell if something has a cultural footprint. There are exceptions. Avatar has 0 cultural footprint, but it's like catnip for normies. Like it's normie nip.
It really is. Yeah.
That's a psyop, man. I swear.
It's a psyop.
Nobody talks about it, bro.
Yeah, nobody talks about it. Never see any hype. Nothing surrounding it, but it always does good.
It does great.
It's just the silent majority, I guess.
Blue people, man. Blue people.
Blue people. That's right.
You can just turn your brain off for like 4 hours and just watch the pretty graphics.
The effects are good.
That's all it is.
They're really good. But
I like the second one more than I like the first one, to be honest. Like the family, father-son stuff they had going on.
Cute.
I liked it more than just, hey, let's watch Dances with Wolves again.
I know. Yeah, I didn't like either of them. I also didn't like Agatha all along. I did watch the episode this morning. Dude.
Well, Gary, you're not a 45-year-old wine mom, and you're not a 20-year-old gay dude.
I know.
So you're a 50-plus-year-old gay dude.
It wasn't made for you, like Marvel fans.
I know.
It was too much about the wine. It was too much about the wine, and I love
From
wine.
Marvel. It's insane.
I wasn't expecting much, but this whole episode was them going into a house trying to make some crap in a sink. The end. Like it was a nothing episode. And it's like, so yeah, this is one of those, my expectations are low, but holy crap.
It was like they were in an escape room.
Yeah.
It's a
Do
bottle
they fight
episode.
at all? Like, has there
right?
been any fighting?
Just cattiness, like
Yeah.
Like
Richie,
How many episodes
A
in are
white
we?
girl fighting,
passive
basically.
aggressive. Yeah,
Just screaming at each other and
That's
stuff.
who-
That's
who
pretty
is
much
this
it.
made for?
Women in Los Angeles.
the people who wrote it,
Yeah.
I guess.
It's a mystery box because we love those around here. It's a mystery box, and they're walking down the witch's road to get their power because Agatha is now 3 episodes. She doesn't have her powers. It kind of reminds me of Yennefer in Witcher season 2 when she's like doesn't have her powers and she has to science them back to show female empowerment. It was terrible. But the only thing that I can they mentioned Mephisto. They dropped Mephisto's name because Jack Schaefer finally figured out who Mephisto was. It was do you guys want a spoiler?
Spoil it.
Let's spoil. You're going to actually plug your ears? You can still hear.
Sorry, I was plugging my ears.
I don't think it works like that.
You have headphones on, Garrett.
Hold your nose.
I'm watching too many of these shows, man.
Spoilers. Funko Pop spoiled it already. Oh, you could take the spoiler thing off. Nobody cares. take it down. Aubrey Plaza's playing Death.
Lady Death. Deadpool's girl.
No, well, Thanos' girl.
Well, yeah, both of them are into her.
I said this.
That's his true love, not that stripper.
Yeah, I said this in the chat earlier. If Aubrey Plaza actually was Lady Death, I would fucking snap out half the population with her too. I'm Thanos. 1000%. Half the people in the world can die if I get to fuck Aubrey Plaza. I'm down.
I agree.
Wait, is Wiccan supposed to be the scrawny gay dude?
Yeah,
yes, that's Wiccan.
They have legitimately leaked
in the comics too.
Leaked everything about this series. The trailer leaked that Wiccan was Billy, so they ruined that mystery. Death has now come out because of this one. That Jack Schaefer came out and said that Billy is the one casting his own "I can't say anything about myself" spell. So
yes.
Every question they just answer it. They don't even seem to care about spoilers themselves.
The scrawny little loser kid is fucking
the
Wiccan.
only man.
They turned him into a massive joke.
Technically.
Is he a man? I'm about to say, yeah.
Wait, that's what I said, yeah.
I mean, canonically he's gay. Yeah.
Is he going to be...
Canonically,
is he still going to be Wanda's kid?
Yes.
How is that?
My guess is that everyone's going to, or
I'll tell you exactly how.
Try to push the idea that he might be Agatha's kid that she gave up to get the Darkhold. I think that's what they're going to try to play on, and then it's going to be a big twist when it's revealed that it's actually Wanda's kid, and she's like started.
That's what they did in this episode. They basically kind of went, she sold her son to Mephisto, and she wouldn't even recognize him if he turned up. They couldn't have done if they put a yellow sign pointing to him at the same time.
Yeah.
Is that why we have leaks saying that she might come back? That she's not actually dead, and that the actress would love to come back?
Well, that's because that was probably like always what they wanted to do. They were going in this multiverse thing anyway. Like, I think that was always probably in the cards, even right after Multiverse of Madness, when she was doing appearances on like Jimmy Fallon and stuff like that. They got us, so is your character like dead? She's like, well, I think she's dead for now, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future. Yeah. I think that was always kind of what they wanted to do.
Yep. The kid survived the end of WandaVision, and they're projected into other bodies that are dead.
So he's in a dead body right now?
So he's in a body of a kid who was just about to, just died, right? So
wow.
So he's a made-up figment of her imagination that survived and got put
that was willed into life into
body.
somebody else's body after they died. Yes.
Think of it like a SpongeBob episode. Whenever they do the imagination stuff, and Mr. Krabs pops out of flashbacks to interact with Plankton, that's what's going on here. It's just SpongeBob.
So that explains why he was like, whenever he tried to say who he was, it was getting masked.
No, he's casting that himself.
He's putting his own spell on.
So. Why? Why would he have to do it
Is it
himself?
that she can create souls? Is that part of the canon?
Wanda's powerful enough to do just about anything.
Well,
she wants
That's essentially what she's doing in this case. Is she creates a person's soul and then puts it into a body. That's insane.
Yeah, and the Darkhold was around for a while too. So, I maybe. But I think it's just her kids, and this is a way to introduce the Young Avengers, because Wiccan was.
They already set that up.
Yeah, so
which is going to fail completely. Nobody's going to be interested.
Do you think they're actually going to make that? I feel like they're going to push it off to the side.
Who knows?
I don't think it's going to happen, because by the time they finally get around to it, they're not going to be that young anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was going to half of them are going to be middle-aged by the time it's
Riri Williams filmed the Ironheart series when she was like 18 or 19, and she's going to be 30 before it comes out.
And she
was already looking rough. She looks like she's a 30-year-old woman in those clips.
That show's supposed to come out next year. Can't wait. But yeah, this episode, literally nothing happens. They walk into a house, they change clothes, they drink some wine, they get some bad plastic surgery, they have to brew an antidote, they do it in the sink. There's a countdown clock to, create that artificial tension, and they do it, and that woman from That 70s Show dies. The end.
Who only dies because none of them care about her. And
No,
this is one of the issues
they
with the
don't
show.
care.
I don't
all
either.
the characters
It's
are
weird.
yeah, but all the characters are evil, and their aim for this is to get the end of the road so they can get more power to be more evil. So why am I not supposed to want the road to kill them all?
That's a very good question. There's nobody likable in it, and we know who it's for, but apparently they're not watching it either. So it didn't even crack the Samba TV chart. So Catherine Hahn said this isn't a get in the second season. And as Ryan was talking about earlier, if any of these D+ shows were massive successes, they would get a season 2. Loki got a season 2. If WandaVision was this just massive, and it did better than this, why didn't it get a season 2? It's not because the actors can't find time. I'm sorry. I don't see Paul Bettany being that super busy. He's making a Vision show. Terry Metalis.
I think that it depends on the project, right? She-Hulk, certainly they wanted to get a season 2 for
Yes.
that. Something like Secret Invasion, that to me clearly felt like a limited series that was supposed to be a connector to show what Nick Fury had been up to immediately before the Marvels. Like when I see something like that, I'm not thinking, oh, I wonder if they're getting a season 2, because that felt like a limited series connector.
You can set out to make a limited series, right? And it could do okay. But if it does phenomenal, like the Penguin is doing right now, the Penguin's only supposed to be one season, but you don't think there's executives going, can we get a season 2 out of this? Remember, the Joker was supposed to be a one-off. Todd Phillips was like, no, I'm never going to do a fucking sequel.
Yeah.
So
It's time to own the audience.
Yeah. With this show specifically, though, I think that if it had been a success, I think they would have probably just spun it off, and it would have been a very different show with a lot of the same actors and characters that they had set up.
Early
but clearly,
on-
that didn't happen.
early on with D+, the stuff was doing better than it is now. So, Falcon and Winter Soldier we got Captain African America coming out. Reshot 3 times. Probably a budget of $400-500 million.
Did WandaVision do better or as good as Loki, or was Loki still better?
Loki
'Cause
did better.
A lot of people liked it.
Yeah, Loki did better. But WandaVision did good. Like, it did all right, yeah.
But that was the thing with the early Disney Plus shows. You were using actual movie characters that people knew, and now you're making series out of spin-offs from the movies.
That
And
nobody cares about.
Yeah.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.